Like its moralizing villain, the Saw movies promise transcendence through trauma, only to then go back on their word and, after endless severed limbs, slashed necks, mauled faces and charred corpses, provide more of the same tedious sermonizing and suffering. Over the course of its first 8 installments, James' Wan and Leigh Whannell series established itself as horror cinema's most punishing, marrying elaborate death traps, gnarly gore and insufferable preaching to a serialized narrative whose convolutions bordered on self-parody. Its central bad guy, Tobin Bell's Jigsaw, of John Kramer, died in 2006's Saw 3, and yet on and on go his games, replete with needle-fetish fatalities, absurd twists and turns, and more climactic this-is-the-real-fiend revelations than a season's worth of Scooby-Doo mysteries. It's torture porn, alright, as anyone who's sat through each excruciating sequel can attest. By the end of 2010's Saw 3D, not, as its subtitle promised, the final regular chapter, in which we learned that Carrie Elwes' protagonist from the first Saw was, in fact, yet another of Jigsaw's numerous disciples, the entire enterprise had long since started reusing its own gimmicks. It was a sure sign of creative rigor mortis, and yet here we are, 7 years later, and Jigsaw has arrived to coat more Halloween multiplex screens in perfunctory bloodshed. The best thing one can say about this resurrection is that, as directed by the Spirit Brothers, Predestination, Daybreakers, it's arguably the best-looking Saw film since the original, employing its predecessor's trademark rotting green and black color palette to relatively stylish effect. Alas, that's about the only positive element of this 9th episode, save for the unintentional chuckles elicited by its derivative attempts to surprise and appall.